Welcome to the Insane Reality of Midlife Health podcast, where we redefine midlife health from a real perspective. I'm a certified health coach and personal trainer, here to guide you through the challenges women face. You'll hear tips and stories from everyday women who have walked this path. Let's shift our focus from the past to embrace who we are now. Hello, welcome to the Insane Reality of Midlife Health. For us women, today I am having a guest on the show around mental behavioral health. We'll talk about all that. Her name is Miss Cherokee Thomas. And Miss Cherokee, let me go and tell you about her. She has a bachelor in social work and went on to get her master's. You correct me if I mess up here.
Okay.
She also got certified in gerontology, which we're going to talk about what that is a little bit. She's going on to complete her doctorate this winter of 2026. So congrats early on that, because I know you're going to do it.
Oh, yeah.
She has done a lot of things in her career, starting from school-based therapy, working with adolescents and children. She does a lot of community leaderships, including the NAMI, which is National
Alliance on Mental Illness.
And that's here in Rutherford. She was on that board. She's done a lot with Suicide Prevention Network. She's worked with homeless women shelters for women and children. The list does go on, but she is very passionate, obviously, about her work, being involved in the community and mental health, behavioral health. And especially as I asked her to come on this show, her passion is with helping women.
Yes.
A lot.
Women empowerment.
Women empowerment.
From the inside out.
See, I just get lucky with y'all on this show. This is when I tell y'all we're bringing people exactly around what we need at this time in our midlife health. So, thank you for coming on the show, Ms. Cherokee. Love having you here. This is going to be a great intertwine into the different dimensions of our health. As us women know, we go through a lot of different dimensions. Well, people go through a lot of different dimensions.
Right.
Women, our dimensions go a little deeper, right?
Oh, definitely.
Our dimensions there, they get down in them roots and makes it hard for the man to understand us. But today we'll help everybody out with that. So we're going to dive in first. This day and age, so much has changed in the world of mental health.
Right.
In the last 10 years, 20 years, 5 years. I mean, it just keeps changing and evolving, which is great. But I want people to understand that term sometimes automatically just people hear mental health and like, especially in certain communities. And when I say certain communities, certain cultures, all that. So we're not going to dig too deep about that. But I will say mental health has a bad stigma, I guess you could say, or it has in the past. We're growing in that. And two things I want people to understand today, we're going to just kind of break down what is the difference of when someone says mental health versus behavioral health.
Okay. I researched that because I like to look things up. Mental health refers to a person's emotional, psychological, and cognitive well-being. When we say cognitive, we're talking about thoughts, how we think, how we feel, and process life. It includes conditions like anxiety, depression, bipolar disorder, and there's so many others, especially with children. They have like ADHD, which is more neurological. There's a lot of mental health disorders. The DSM is a very big book. Behavioral health, on the other hand, is broader than mental health. Mental health is a condition, but it includes mental health, but focuses on our habits, like substance use. So we call those co-occurring disorders. So someone could have mental health issue, but also have an alcohol issue, or they can use cocaine or fentanyl or marijuana, eating patterns or sleeping patterns, which affects your overall well-being, because if you have bipolar disorder and then you drink alcohol because you're manic, because you want to go to sleep, well, you're affecting your mental health in different ways, because you could have a blackout and wake up in jail and don't even know what happened. So that's why that is different. And so when you asked me that question, I said I had never quite thought about that. Behavioral, of course, affects our behavior. So we're doing something that's affecting behavior. Mental health is something that you have, but it's a condition. It's like having a health condition, like having blood pressure issues or diabetes, and you have to take your medicine, you have to go to the doctor, except you have to go to therapy as well so that you can know how to cope
Or you
with what
should
you
go
have.
to therapy.
You should. A lot of people don't because they don't want people to think they're crazy,
Exactly.
you
You
know.
said it's a condition.
Right, but they don't see it as that. But if the brain can die, a lot of people are pronounced brain dead.
Mm.
If a brain can die, a brain can get sick. And a lot of times it can be genetic.
That's a good thought right there to pause on. If a brain can die, which it, like you said, it can. That's what happens in the hospital all the time. Then it can get sick,
Right.
and we get sick in other ways. Is anybody afraid to say, "Hey, I got a cold"?
No.
Hey, I got. So people aren't afraid to say they have diabetes right now because they're quick to try out all the medications on that.
Right.
So why can't we just say, "Hey, this needs some healing too"?
Because nobody can see bipolar disorder. They can see the behaviors, but they can't see what's going on in the brain, or they can't see that you're depressed. They just say, you're lazy. Why don't you get up and clean up your house? Or why don't you take care of your kids? Or why don't you go take a shower? But you can be so depressed, you feel like an elephant is sitting on top of you and you can't get out of bed. And so when we talk about cognitive, that's why we use cognitive behavioral therapy, because it deals with the thoughts, the feelings, and the behaviors. If you think, I am so depressed, I can't get up, then you feel depressed. And then the behaviors, you don't get up. So what I try to do is tell them, if I'm on the phone with them, I'll say, you said you can't get up? I said, can you sit up for me, please? They sit up. I said, okay. Can you put your legs over the side of the bed? And they do that. I said, can you stand up? They said, yeah. They said, now what? I said, go take a shower. I said, I guarantee you'll feel better. And they take their shower, and I call them back later on. They said, you know what? I feel better. So it's not that they can't get up. It's just that sometimes what we try to teach them is, in spite of how you feel, here's the coping skill. I know I don't feel like getting up, but I need to get up. So just get up and go. And as you start doing things will help you want to do things. And then sometimes people just can't get up. So that's when they really need some help. So I deal with adults, I deal with children, I deal with seniors. I have quite a few seniors.
Well, one action, like something you made a point, one positive action usually creates another positive action. Same for bad. And this is in my world of health coaching, I always say bad habits, good habits. They're all, always, this is a joke of mine, they're all created equal because it's just as easy to gain, well, I say just as easy, but to gain a good habit is a bad habit. It's created usually from an emotion. Both are created from emotion usually.
Right.
But once you go in this direction of one or the other, it'll create another action and another action. You just have to choose, are we going in the positive or negative here?
Right.
And sometimes our brain tells us we can't, but it's like someone's just saying, sit up, put your feet on the ground. Sometimes we just need that. Sometimes some of us need it more than others, but I think that, would it be safe to say that we are evolving? People are accepting that it's okay now to go see therapist. It doesn't mean you're crazy. For some people, it doesn't mean you have a condition. Like we just broke it down into whether it's a condition or it's a behavior. It might be one or it might be the other. It could be both. But accepting that, I think like you said, we all get sick in different ways.
Right.
So let's just give ourselves the love in that area that we need. Just like I'd make you some chicken noodle soup if you were sick. So something I've learned is, and I'll say my mind frame of mental health has changed from the time I was a child to now. And I tell a lot of my clients now, I said, this is my version of it. I said, because somebody will go get help for working out and exercise and eating healthy. I said, when you work out, you sweat, right? And I was like, when you sweat, you know what happens? I was like, that's the natural way for the body to release its toxins.
Right.
I said, okay. I said, therapy is the same way. I said, as a therapist, they might not have a exact answer to give you, and that's okay. I think some people go into it saying, oh, I'm looking for them to give me exactly the perfect thing for me to do to make me not be like this. It's not about that. And I think that's what a lot of people think I mean, I know I used to think that. And then I learned, I said, it's about you going in and you releasing those toxins and getting them
Right.
out. And I said, that person's a non-biased person. You don't need to do that with your family. You don't need to do that with, your friends. It's a way for you to release toxins out of here, because for exercising, we sweat them out.
Mm-hmm.
We got to get them out, or they're disruptive to our internal system. So why not therapy? That's how I started looking at therapy.
Right. Well, I think that's a good analogy. And when you were talking about if you have a cold, I give you chicken soup. Well, therapy is chicken soup for the soul. And that talking it out. And whenever they come in, doesn't matter what age they are, they always have that look in their eyes, because most people that have mental health issues do a lot of self-judgment, or they've had a lot of criticism, or a lot of critique in their life, or bullying, or someone saying negative things to them. So I can always see it in their eyes when they walk in, because they're kind of apprehensive as to what they say. And I always tell them, no judgment here. I'm not wearing a black robe. I said, I don't have a gavel. So this isn't judgment. This is therapy. And so then once they say that, or if you just say, I believe you. They say something to me. I said, I believe you. And they just burst into tears, because that's the first time they ever heard it. If a child says, I tried to tell my mom that he was touching me, and she wouldn't believe me. And then I went to this person and they didn't believe me. And then I went to that person, they didn't believe me. But when they come in and they said, I said, I believe you, because it was like they were trying to convince me. They said, you do?
I could imagine the power behind someone just genuinely saying, I believe you.
Just
You have to
validation.
explain yourself.
Right. Just to be validated by someone means a lot, because a lot of people are not validated by anybody. And it's just kind of sad to hear that, and I get a lot of older people who just need to talk. They're in their apartment by themselves and they're depressed because of it.
So that brings up a good subject that's not on my list here. I told you we're going to roll into some else. We'll try to not go too far this way, but I like that you brought that up. That brings up something. In my role as health coach, working with women, and we're just talking about women here, midlife health. The most common thing I've been noticing the most, beautiful, strong, smart women, and I say midlife, 50s, 60s, you should be living your life. You should not be like, oh, I'm getting old, I better go and shut things down. Like, you should be living your life 50s, 60s, up into your 70s. You should be know who you are and really living this life really all the way through. I have noticed so many people say what you said. They are just lonely, and it shuts them down. And these are competent women. These are, like I said, women of all kinds that have so much going on for them, but they're lonely. It could be they lost their spouse due to, unfortunate reasons, or just divorces, or the kids. But to see how it has dramatically affected their health in all dimensions. And that brings up the fact you said you're certified in gerontology, which is?
It's working with seniors. I suggest that seniors, when they get a doctor, hopefully the doctor is specialized in gerontology. It's working with people in different age groups. It could be from 50 on up to 60 on up. Because when they come in, and the perfect example was when I was in my class getting my certification, the professor let us watch a movie. There was an older lady. They had put her in the nursing home because they thought she was having, she had Alzheimer's. Come to find out, she didn't have Alzheimer's at all. She had DTs. She was recovering she was an alcoholic.
Oh.
And so she thought things were calling on her. She was seeing things and she was talking all out of turn. And then they found out the woman had an alcohol problem. She didn't have Alzheimer's. And see, most people just mistake it because they're old. They just put them in the hospital because they think they have Alzheimer's disease. And I spoke at St. Clair Street Senior Center, and I asked, how many people in here have been diagnosed before with Alzheimer's? They all raised their hand.
I said misdiagnoses.
I said, how many have depression, bipolar disorder, anxiety? I got anxiety. Always misdiagnosed because the go-to is Alzheimer's or dementia.
You want quick, easy ways to prep healthier breakfasts and lunches? Developing healthy habits from 25 to 35 can set you up for a lifetime of wellness and vitality. Join my live nutritional workshop where we'll tackle meal prep together and ensure you're meeting your macronutrient goals for optimal results. You'll receive a grocery list for these meals, so no more procrastinating, ladies. We're going to be productive as a community. Now let's lay the foundation for a balanced, fulfilling life together. And Lord knows if somebody puts you in a nursing home or a hospital, I mean, I have young people that anybody I know, I don't care what age you are, you get put into a hospital, it mentally, like, I got to get out of here. Like, I hear these things like, this place is meant for you to want to, like, just shut down. It is, I mean, I know they're in there to save our life, but it is not, like, it can mess with you mentally in a whole nother aspect. And if you are, as an older person, don't have the defense mechanism or the strength to say, hey, I'm, clarify, like, what's really going on with me, you just get stuck.
Yeah.
And I'm always going to wrap this back to, this is why we have to take care of ourselves. This is why we've got to keep moving. We do not want to be there. I promise y'all, we do not want to be there. If it's something as simple as getting up and walking a mile every day, if you can't walk, that's what I'm here for. I will come up with a million other things, but when we stop moving, everything starts shutting down.
That's right.
And we cannot allow that to happen in our lives. In unfortunate situations, we might not have a choice but to go to a nursing home or anything. But we want to have the strength to say what's going on, what we're. It makes me sad to know that so many people get misdiagnosed and put in places that just escalates more problems.
Right. And when they think that they're old, because it's really a thought process. I told age is a number. It's not a disability. And a lot of times people act like age is a disability. I've heard so many people say, yeah, I'm getting old. I'm turning 40. I said, you poor thing, you.
Look, I'm flying away because I'm like, oh, I could be guilty of this. And I tell myself to stop it. I have to stop. But you're right.
Yeah. And 40 is not old. When I moved to Tennessee, I had just turned 40.
And that's when we're supposed to be living it.
Yes. That's when that was like my new adventure. I turned 40 when I came here. I had enough money to stay here 1 week. Next year, I will have been here 30 years.
No, wow.
So
it happened.
I made it happen.
Getting your doctorate in 2026. I guess you did make it happen.
So you just have to keep living life and not thinking about how old you're getting. Everybody's getting older. When a child is born, it's newborn. The next day, it's one day old. Yeah. So there's nothing that doesn't age. A car ages, it depreciates and everything. We don't depreciate. The only time we depreciate is when we think we have depreciated. Our thoughts are so important. Even there's a scripture in the Bible that says, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. So if you think you're a senior citizen when you turn 30, you're going to start acting like a senior citizen when you turn 30.
I believe that, and I say it out loud. I catch myself saying the opposite. So for all you women, you're going in your 40s and your 50s, this is such a true statement. If you've ever been around a 70-plus woman that believes she's young, boy, the energy, the vibe she brings to the table is just amazing. I've been blessed to be around many of those women, and it's unbelievable the difference in them living their life versus someone's like, oh, well, I'm getting old, da-da-da. But with that, mental health, speaking of mental health and everything, we have to continue to exercise our brain, which I love. That's obviously what you've been doing. You present yourself as a young woman yourself, and your energy and your vibe. You kept teaching yourself, learning. And it doesn't have to be in a doctorate. It doesn't have to be, it could be anything you love in life. You could learn about the extent of all the birds in the world. You can learn about anything. Keep teaching, keep learning. That is something, well, this is what we're doing today, is how can I exercise and strengthen my mental health? So that keeps us young, because what you said, if we believe we're one or the other, we are.
Right. And I encourage people to volunteer. If you're depressed, volunteer somewhere. If you're interested in something, we have so many places here in Murfreesboro where you can volunteer and give of yourself. And the more you give of yourself, then it kind of takes that depression away. It makes you feel better. You have a purpose. A lot of people don't have purpose. And if you don't feel like you have a purpose, then you have a problem.
Well, I've been finding myself teaching people that same thing. So I'm glad to back that up with you. I feel like that's a big one. I've ran off course here. I'm going to run through some questions real quick. Roles. We're going to keep these short a little bit, but I want to definitely touch base on this. The roles have changed for men and women in the
Oh,
household.
definitely.
Right? By force, by what this world has brought to the table, whatever. But the roles have changed. And this affects man and woman, but we're focusing on the woman. And because of this, women's mental health, there's a whole lot of different pressure. There's a lot of things. What would you say is okay, like for a woman that's just struggling, whether it's a single mom or it's a mom that is married, but the roles are just that both the parents are working like crazy, they're both having to share all these roles that I think deep down we all naturally think, oh, the man should be doing this or this. Any good advice there? Just like, hey, how can we keep moving forward in this generation of what we all have to do now? And don't let it affect us. Don't let us bring us down.
Right. Well, because of the roles right now and things costing so much, sometimes the wife has to work as well, or we have a lot of single mothers out there. Sometimes it's due to divorce. Sometimes it's due to the fact that the man left after they had the child or while they were pregnant. And so they have to take on these roles, or they've been in abusive relationships and they finally were able to break free. But even though they broke free, they still feel like they can't do it. So they come to therapy to be empowered to do what they could have done all along. If you don't think well of yourself, and if you've heard a lot of negativity, then of course you don't feel like you can do anything. So I feel like my job is to empower the women to know, I know that you loved him, but I want them to love you. And it kind of reminds me of this little poem that I found where the lady said, oh, there you are. I've been looking for you. And sometimes they haven't found themselves, never knew themselves. And so a lot of them come and say, I just want to find myself. And if they can do that, then they figure out I can do anything. I can work, I can take care of my children, because the roles before was, especially when I was growing up, everybody in the neighborhood had a mother and a father. Everyone. There was no household without a mother and a father.
And that creates more security for both people, I think, because there was roles established at that point. But now we don't know, or we have too much on our plate. And it messes with our mental health, which would go into how we treat our children sometimes. And
Right.
then that goes into being brought up with a stressed out mom or whatever, so that it just keeps going. So I wanted to just address, like, hey, for all you women out there that are feeling like that, you feel you're overwhelmed because you have too much in your plate. One, there's a lot of opportunity out here now to make therapy easy and just to have that person to talk to. But finding that empowering side of yourself, knowing you can do it, knowing that you have the strength to do it, and everything will pan out. And
Right.
one thing I will say is women have superpowers. We don't want to use them all the time, but we have them, and just be proud and thankful you have them, and find the good health in that. So definitely want to talk about this briefly. Is there's different versions and ways that women portray themselves. And these are distinctual things. Like so what are, and because I don't know if a woman even realizes, hey, I portray myself this way, or like they don't even realize that this is a thing. So what's the different ways or versions that women portray themselves?
Well, I looked that up too, and they have these roles. So it says one is the nurturer. So it says they're embracing, their caregiving, and their emotional support for others. But a lot of times they forget to do that for themselves. Or they could be the boss, career-driven, assertive, and ambitious. They can be creative, expressing identity through art, fashion, or storytelling. The advocate, fighting for justice, equity, and representation, or the healer. And a lot of women are in the healer role, focused on wellness, which is a role that you're doing, spirituality, and community care. So those are the roles that they say most women play, and some women play all of them.
Now, those are I think all of us can find maybe a couple that we fit in, right? I wouldn't say we just maybe not just fit. Some of us might fit in one, but would you say that women from the women you work with can be in different roles and different versions of how they're portraying themselves in those?
Right. Well, it's kind of like you have these different personas anyway, but you have to. When you go to work, you have a work persona. At home, you have a different persona. If you go to the store, you have a different persona. You're presenting yourself all the time according to the environment that you're in. So you know that if you're in a work environment, you can't act like mom. Yeah, because you're not at home. And but it helps, to have that on the inside of you and says, okay, these are my coworkers. So I've got to treat my coworkers well. Because a lot of times when you get an environment where there's a lot of women, because of the way they've been treated outside of the work environment, sometimes it's hard to shake that when you come into the workplace. And so it's coming in and bringing you the best of yourself to the work environment. And that's what women need to do. And we need to be each other's, there needs to be a sisterhood.
Always something I think we'll forever be working on, but hopefully this world will get better with that and learning what we're talking about now that, like you said, we all came from different things, traumas, all that. So just appreciating each other and just being a little more patient with each other. When I asked that question, I asked it because I think sometimes when we look in the mirror, which I like the title that you brought to the table for this, Empowering Women Beyond the Mirror. When we look in the mirror, I think we all immediately portray ourselves as something right then and there. I'm ugly, I'm fat, I'm weak, I'm not smart. I mean, golly, that list could go on. I could not imagine the things you have heard, and it's because what you said, because someone's told them that, or maybe they feel that because someone never told them otherwise.
Right.
So to portray what you said, the definition is how we should be as women. We have different roles,
Right.
but we look in that mirror and we see what,
Yeah.
what's the top three you hear the most from the women you work with?
I'm fat.
Top three.
Fat is always the first one because they're looking at themselves and comparing themselves to people on social media, which you never know if you're really looking at that person because it could be somebody that they photoshopped in. So you don't ever know if that's the real person or not. I'm ugly. My hair is not like her hair. My eyes are not like her eyes. I wish I looked like her. So you hear a lot of that, but those are things that don't stay around, because if you're beautiful on the inside, I remember I saw a picture of a man and woman, and they both were in their 90s. They were very wrinkled. And he told her, "You're just as beautiful now as the day I married you."
My papa told my grandmama that. I tell you every day. Because I literally heard him say that her over and over, and I thought, wow, like he didn't get anything out of it. It wasn't going to make a difference whether he said it or not. He said it because he genuinely meant it.
He's seeing beyond the mirror.
Yes.
And women don't know how to see beyond the mirror. They keep forgetting about the beauty on the inside, how to take care of the inner woman so that when you do get around other women, you know who you are. And those words don't get inside. I wish I had brought this picture. The words on the outside were larger. You're dumb. You're stupid. You're a loser. You're fat. You're ugly. But the words on the inside were, you are beautiful. You are greatly beloved. You're a brave warrior. Those words were smaller. If the small words on the inside could become bigger than the words on the outside, the words on the outside diminish.
I think we feel like that's a cliche thing to say now. I love it. It's your beauty comes from inside. I believe it. I love it. But I think because of so much things that are out here for us to visually see, I feel that sounds cliche to a lot of women now. But it is the truth. It is genuinely the truth. And if I could pull one of these guys that are videoing us right here, I bet you, I'm going to pull them over here. I bet you they say if there was a woman of 5 all identically beautiful women, which one would you pick? It's the one that had that energy of that beauty on the inside.
Right.
I learned that in my 20s. I was blessed to have a group of beautiful women I hung out with. Hung out, went out, lived that life for a minute, and I'd say a man wouldn't know which one to choose if he could choose any of them.
Right.
And I saw how they gravitated to the one that had that she believed inside.
Right.
I learned that in my 20s. I saw it. I was like, well, what is that? And that's what that was. She believed. Genuinely, she was beautiful. I mean, it just, in that energy goes beyond.
Right.
And the cool thing is, like you said, the other stuff fades. But when are we going to realize to pull that out now? Pull that out now. All right. So if you could, you talk to women on a daily basis, you hear things that would put me in tears that she was talking about before we even started today, that puts me in tears, goosebumps to hear the things that women come to you that have been through from childhood on. This might be a hard one to answer question. I mean, a one word question might be hard to answer with one word, but if you could give someone the most empowering trait or tool to a woman to help her make her best future decisions, what would it be?
Don't base what you do, who you are, and who you're with on exterior things. Because if you do that, then when the exterior is no longer there, then you're not going to be able to function. My job is to help them to learn who they are beyond the mirror and stop worrying about what I look like outside and what I look like inside, because the inner beauty shines and it comes out. That's the thing. And they don't understand it. They think it's what they put on. It's what you put in. And if you have something inside of you, then it doesn't matter what you're going through. You will walk in that door at work or any other place, and you'll think automatically, I'm here for them. Or if your husband comes home and maybe you don't work, or maybe you did work, and he comes in and he's tired. I'm tired too, but honey, how's your day? You don't get in an argument. You know what to do because of the fact that you are thinking about this other person. I've had people I didn't know just walk in, especially young people. And that's interesting because this is a younger generation. And they'll walk in, and I'll just walk in the front office. I said, hi, how you doing? And they'll look at me and say, I'm sorry, I don't mean to keep staring at you. You're kind. I see your aura. That's what we want people to see. They're seeing what's within. And that's a beautiful thing. So the young women that are out there, they need to know who they are. If you know who you are, you won't settle for anything.
And if you don't know who you are, go talk to someone to find that, to dig. Let that person dig with you without bias, without judgment, without, this is what therapy is for now. It is not something is wrong with you. Something's wrong with you if you don't think something's wrong with you. If you don't think you have anything you need to go digging and cleaning up.
Right.
So, everybody's house is dirty.
That's right.
That's what I want. I want to end with what you said. It's not what you put on. It's what you put in. And when are we going to wait? What are we waiting for? Like, stop buying the expensive concealers. Stop buying this perfect moisturizer. Your moisturizer that's going to make you shine is what you put in, and know within what you want to believe about yourself, what you do to create that character within yourself. If that's not who you were, become that person by genuinely changing your lifestyle. It starts with your overall health,
Right.
how you treat your body, how you feed your body, how you move your body, how you mentally exercise your brain, how you give to others. It's the whole dimension of health. So let's start thinking, ladies, about what we're putting in to really let ourselves glow the way you want to glow when you put a bright, shiny outfit on like this. I'm over here looking like a highlighter today. So What do you want to make glow about you? Start putting that in, start evolving around that. And I think that would be the most beautiful thing we could do as women.
Right.
Miss Cherokee does work in Manchester and Murfreesboro
Right.
at 2 clinics.
Mental health cooperative.
Mental health cooperative. You accept any all
Well, they
how do
accept
people find you?
Medicaid, Medicare, and if they don't have insurance, according to whatever income safety net, we take people who are not insured because this is a nonprofit that I work at. I always like the nonprofits because we get the people who will slip through the cracks. So if they come and they don't have any insurance, then we say, that's okay, we'll get you on safety net. And so safety net pays for their therapy, their case management services, and their med management services.
Love that. We'll put how where will they look up, or how do we find you exactly? The name of you said it's Mental Health Cooperative
Yes.
Manchester Clinic, or
Yes. Well, just Mental Health Cooperative in Manchester.
Manchester?
And then I also work in the one in Murfreesboro, but they have it in so many other locations as well. But those are the 2 that I'm in.
That's where Miss Cherokee is.
Yeah. So I would love to talk with you and just make them feel at home when they come in. And I always make sure that there's some calming music playing when they come in. I have like a little guitar, and then I have a waterfalls. And so when they come in, they feel peace when they come in. And that's what's important.
I felt peace when I met you, so I know they'll feel it with you. Thank you for coming on this show. We definitely went over, because I could probably talk about this forever. I would love to have you back again. For everyone out there, it's time to get this dimension right. Not just this, it's this. And so let's work on that. Please reach out to her or me if you want to look for him, or just looking for finding someone that can help you in that area. This is another episode of the Insane Reality, because it can get crazy in our midlife health. We are so confused, and that's why we're doing this show, for people to see what they can do to stay on the right path. So thank you for coming.
You're
Thank
welcome.
y'all very much. Keep tuning in, and bye.